Okay, so I've got a very light sketch down here of a photo from Yosemite National Park that I'm going to be doing. And I'm going to go ahead and lay the paints out that I've chosen for this gouache painting. I'm going to be using a cerulean blue for the sky. So I will go ahead. I think I'm just going to lay that over here in the corner because once I'm done with that, I'm done with that. So I'll lay a little bit of that down. And I'm going to need some white. I'm going to keep my whites separate, I think. And normally I use my Windsor and Newton white, but today I'm just going to use up some of my Royal and Langnickel white. It's not as opaque as some of the others, but I may have put too much down there. Also, I need a little bit of yellow ochre, so I'm going to put that down right here. And some ultramarine blue. I'm going to put that over here. My other blue. And I'll need possibly some burnt umber. So I'm just going to lay a little bit of that down. Won't be much. I will also be using a little bit of my Windsor and Newton, one of my favorite colors, linden green. I love the linden green. It is so great for foliage, especially on the bright highlights of color. And then I have, look at it, Lucas Permanent Green, which is more of a Viridian kind of a green. Very bluish. I'm going to put that in there. And also some deep green. And I told you I have a video that I'm working on right now that is about making a new gouache palette, and I just realized that some of my colors are overlaps from one brand to the other when I switched. So I'm going to have to think about that too when I'm making my palette. But so far those are the colors that I'm going to need, and I think that's probably plenty. I'm going to go ahead and I'm using my Robloff number 5 Squirrel Mix brush, and I'm just going to wet my paper a little bit so that I can get my sky. Oops, it looks like it had a little blue in there. Didn't clean my brush real well. Just going to wet my paper. I'm using my Pentalic Nature Sketchbook for this painting. This is kind of my practice book a little bit, and I use it for various things, but I just wanted to practice some techniques, gouache techniques, because I'm not an expert in gouache by any stretch. So if you're watching me to become familiar with gouache, that's fine, but I do not claim to be an expert. If you want to see an expert painting with gouache, watch James Gurney, Gurney. He is amazing with his gouache paintings. Okay, so there's my sky in. In fact, I think I need a little bit more right here. There we go. And I was using cerulean blue, and I did put way too much out. I hate when I do that. And now I'm going to go down here, and I'm going to work on my sandy area of the beach here. I'm just going to bring it all back here. I want to mix my yellow ochre with some white to lighten it up. Normally I would have left more here for the trees, but I don't think I need to do that because, you know, it's an opaque medium. This is a river scene, and there's some shadowing going on the sand. There's a lot of people in this photo because they're swimming, but I'm not going to put them in. I like the landscape without the people in there. So That's plenty there, I think. Well, let me bring this up a little bit just in case. Should probably be using a different brush than this. I think I'm going to go with the angle brush here. There. That's plenty over there. I'm just going to fix this up at the bottom. And this gets very dark down here. So I'm going to add a little bit of brown in because of the shadowing here. We got big trees that must be on the left-hand side off of the painting that are casting a shadow from the left to the right. And so I'm just using this to cast that shadow. Gonna need a little more burnt umber. I don't think I got enough out, but that's okay. And remember, when you're painting with gouache, that it always dries darker than it appears when you're putting it down. And sometimes I tend to forget that and I go a little bit too dark, but now I'm beginning to remember, so hopefully this won't dry too dark. And I'm going to add a little bit of white in with a little dab of yellow, or yellow ochre, just to lighten up the beach here, to give it some contrast. And then bring the yellow ochre back in again on the edges. At the water's edge, I think it needs it. Because when water touches sand, it always darkens it, right? There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead, now that the sky is dried. It's a little cool, but it dries fairly quickly. I just wet my paper, so that is what caused it to be taking longer. I'm going to put a little more burnt umber down for my trees. And I need a little bit of black. I thought I had Payne's Gray, but maybe I don't. So I'll use black, and I'll make my own gray. When that dries around the caps, it gets all over everything. I'm going to go ahead and start putting in some tree trunks for some of my, actually, I don't want to do that. I want to do the mountains first. I'm going to mix some white with a little bit of burnt umber, and I'm going to go in real light here, kind of make it a gray. There's a lot of trees in the background too, though. It's kind of streaky, so I'm going to put some of this in here and there. It's hard to see, and then the rest is more of a bluish, kind of a cast over some trees. But there is rock going along here. And then this mountain back here has trees at the top. I'm going to do a little more of that, mixing the burnt umber with the white. Diesel. You know, I apologize for my dog whining. Somebody was complaining yesterday in one of my videos, and I do have a dog, and if you don't like it, you don't have to watch, but I will try and lock him out if he continues to whine. He's just looking for something to play with here. Okay, I'm going to mix my blue and my Viridian looking green together here, and I'm going to come up with the color for my background mountain with a little bit of this gray stuff mixed in here. Mix it all together, and then this is going to be the tops of the trees. I need to go in with white because this is drying too dark. So let me just add a bunch of white to that, make it real light. Okay. And the same for up here. Now, a lot of this is going to be covered by foreground trees, but I needed to get that background in. So I'm just trying to, by putting these in like this, it also shows the distance by giving it that hazy-ish kind of look of those trees. It makes them look farther and farther away. There's a couple that come down into here. Whoops. And then down here a little more. There. I just want it to fuzz out a little bit. So I'm just tapping my angled brush just to give it that fuzzed out look as my brush dries. I've kind of lost the look of the mountain here, so I need to use a little bit darker color in order to delineate this mountain from the next one over. So I'm going to go in a little bit darker here, and I'm just going to tap in. Well, I need it even darker than that, though. Put that in like that. There, that might work enough. It's all right. It's not the focal point, it's the background. So I think I kind of screwed that up, but we'll fix it. Now, this is about dry. I want to go in with the water. I'm going to need a little more yellow ochre here, it looks like. Lay that in here because it starts to dip down into the water and gives it a different hue. So I'm going to put a wash of yellow ochre down toward the front here. Then I'm just going to use this. More blue, ultramarine, whoops, needs to be darker in the back. Pick up some of this green here. The sun is just shining in this one spot, and it really makes the water green, bright green. Now, I'm going to go back in with the darker color. is all in shadow over to the left, so I'm going darker here. And I can bring some blue back in. Rinse my brush off. Bring in some of that blue and that kind of viridian green over it just to give it a green hue. And then a little bit of white. I don't want to make gray though, so I've got to be careful not to get that too gray looking. I can maybe mix it with some blue and that'll help. There we go. But that water's kind of swirling there and I'm not sure why, but it's got a current coming back. And then it gets real light up here too with that yellow ochre look. Gotta bring that in. That's too green. I don't like that. So I'm gonna put a little yellow ochre in it. There we go. And there are rocks on this beach, kind of looking down. Looks like it must be from a bridge, the photo. I'm going to go back here and start laying in some of the pine trees. They're very deep green. I'm going to go with my deep green here, but I need to mix a little bit of that linden in it to brighten it up just a bit because it's too blue. There we go. Now the ones on the left are going to be darker, but come right down to the water's edge. And there will be some light shining on it, so I'll add some, some highlights. This looks so bright. I've got to learn these colors. This will be the background, and then I will go over it again. There's a big one that goes up the side, but I don't know that I'm going to do that one. It goes way up here. Maybe I will. Just getting that one side. I need a different green. This is just too weird. Maybe some sap. That might work. I'm trying to mix colors like they're still watercolor, and they're not like my watercolors. The colors are very different, so I just need to change that. I'm going to add a little bit of yellow here too to my palette. So I have a little bit of this lemon color. It's got a lot of white in it. This one is primary yellow, but it's very light. But I'm going to need that for this side. I need a little bit of black, wherever I put it. There it is. Some more black here. I'm mixing some black into my green in order to get the correct color for the pines. And now this one comes way up, but these in the distance are much darker, blocked by the sun. And then they get lighter at the top. The sun's starting to shine on them. Just at the tips. Okay, now this got too wet, got too much water on my brush here. Okay. Alrighty. Now this side. Got some background trees that are real dark. It's strange how these tall ones are so dark. But then there's another one that's a bit lighter here, but I'm just going to leave it dark for now. These ones were real sparse. And then they get thicker. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to put in the local trees. That one goes all the way down to here. See the trunk through it. I could have changed to a different brush. I'm just sticking with this angled brush though. This one gets really yellow. It's got a lot of sun shining on it. We got the sun here. There's another one. And then one back here, or two. It's all lit up too. But I'm going to have to wait for it to dry a little bit, I think. Because I'm putting down drier paint here. That's not good. I'll use a little bit of this lemon, but I think that's going to be too light. Maybe not. It'll mix right in. It is more of a lemony yellow anyway. The way the sun's shining on it. Got some rocks to put in too, but I got to get these trees done here. And I'm not liking that. I got to lighten those up a bit, give them just a bit more detail, but let me get I'm going to try this new brush that I got from that set of travel brushes. This one came with it. It's a Golden Natural by Silver. It's got such a nice point on it. It's really it feels great. Now I'm just going to put a tree trunk in here, which was kind of big. There were trunks over here. I might have to fix those up, but I'm going to come back to them. That paint gets a little bit dry. And I got it too wet. Getting a nice square edge on the bottom. I'm having trouble. There we go. This really shouldn't be green showing through there. There's a taller one that I missed over here too. Pine. Goes all the way up to this mountain top. It's a little sparse one. It's a little bit too much over there. There we go. Don't like what I did there. It looks all bent up. How can I fix that? Just erasing it. There, now put it over it again. It won't show once I get it up there. It's too wet underneath. Yeah, that's a little bit better. And now, take this one, put the trunk on. Okay. Rocks. Rocks. You're real dark up here in the shadow. Sorry about that. He hears something. He's my watchdog. There's a big rock up there too. Under this tree. It's big. Okay, now a little more in the water I need to do. There's too much white going on. I don't need that much white in there. White of the paper, I mean. White. You can still use white of the paper in gouache, but although there's reflection, a lot of this is darker, so I just want to make it a little bit darker. And there's a big boulder down here. So I'm going to put that in real dark at first, and then there's a shiny spot that just shows where the sun just hits it. It's amazing how much more I use black in gouache than I do with any other medium. Although I do use it in acrylic and oil, I guess. Just not watercolor, which is kind of bizarre. There we go. I'm just going to let I need to darken this left side up because it's all in shadow, deep shadow. So I'm just going to take it and bring this water in a little bit more, like this. I need to use my flat brush, though. It works better for this. So I'm just going to mix the black and my cerulean blue that I used in the sky. I'm mixing those two colors together to try to keep some color harmony here going. And I'm just going to keep bringing this in like this. There we go. That's starting to take shape now. And then this area here needs to darken up a little bit more before that reflection, and then I'll just fix the reflection. Then this fades into the other colors. I just want the shadow to look like shadow, though. Dark on one side, light on the other. It's hard to get with gouache. I might have to go back in with some white to put these little reflections back in, because they're not, it's not rapids, you know? It's just ripples here and there. I'm just taking the dryish brush and blending it together so that it kind of blends out. There we go. Now it's starting to take shape. Okay, just let that dry, and then I'll decide what I need to do with it next. Now here I'm just taking a little bit of white into my green that was left over from my trees, and I'm putting some foreground trees in here, remembering that they're going to dry darker, so I'm not worried about the white so much. And if it doesn't work out, I can always add some darker green into it, but that tree looks so unrealistic. There we go. That's a little bit better with the greenish. The linden green mixed in, it helps it a little bit. No, I don't like the white in there. I'm going to have to do away with that. Oh, my allergies are so bad today for some reason. Holy smokes. Sorry for my sniffling. Ugh. I need to add some blue into my green here. I mean, some deep blue. Let me look at this a little bit. Yeah, these trees look too fake over here. It's so strange with gouache. You guys know how I do my trees in watercolor. I'm just struggling here with the gouache a little bit. I'll let it dry. Okay, I need to fix this because it looks too flat and I need to do some work. So I took a break for a little while And then I went to a doctor's appointment, so now I'm back at it again, and I need to fix these trees. So I'm going to try and pick some greens that will be helpful and some blues. I wonder if I have a dark, here's a Prussian blue. That's nice. That's ultramarine. I don't need 2 ultramarines, but my paint has dried on this palette here. But oops, getting some of the, whoops, I don't need that much, shoot. Oh well. And I need a little bit, I'm going to try to reconstitute some of this yellow here. And maybe get some green, some of this blue. See if I can fix these up a little bit. Define some branches. And that will help it. I don't know. And I need something to kind of lean over the water, I think, too. Maybe I'll put another one in here and make it go this way. That could help, too. I'm sorry if my head was in the way of the camera. I just felt it. I bumped my head on it, so hopefully I'm not too close. And now I'm just using Prussian blue here, and it seems very transparent, which is strange. It could be that I just need to mix it up. I may have been taking, yeah, that's what it was. So now I'm going to need some yellow with it to get the right color. Let me just, oops, that's the wrong yellow. That one's too light. Let's try this one. Hopefully this isn't too warm. No, this will be good. A little yellow. Mix it together. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing. I think you can. So I'm going to take that. Make this look like more trees too. So it's not just one tree sitting there. And this all disappeared because it was too transparent and too close in color too. A little drip of water in there. I just add just a teensy bit of water on my brush. I don't know if that's the way most people do it, but that's the way I do it in order to keep the paint moving, you know what I mean? That one's kind of behind it. I'm going to bring this one up a little more. There's one here. There, that's helping to liven that up a little bit. By putting multiple colors in, you add depth to the tree. There. Fix these. They got a little too yellow. Might still be able to use that, but I'm just gonna see what I can do here. Now these are getting in the distance, so I'm trying to lose the shape. I don't want the shape to be so noticeable. I think I'm just going to leave the background as is, except that I need to fix this spot where the rock was by taking a little more yellow ochre. It's cadmium yellow pale. This is yellow ochre. And mixing it with a little bit of black and a little bit of white. Just a little black there. And I think I've got enough white here that I can reconstitute with this brush, hopefully. Yeah. I'm going to put them all together. Oops, that's not the right color. Got to find that right mix. This looks so pink for some reason, and I don't remember what I did. I don't have any reds out, so... Maybe, oh, it might not have been black. It might have been burnt umber that I used in the mixture. But I'm just going to use this instead. That'll work. Hopefully once it dries. It'll be okay. Okay, and now that shadowy area, I'm just going to bring it out here a little bit more. And I need to tone these trees down just a bit get them looking nicer. Use up this yellow, some of this Prussian blue. Okay. This is a nice brush. This is a, I think I said it already. It's the Golden Natural Designer by Silver Black Velvet. And somebody was trying to tell me something about the Rubloff brushes, and I found their website, and I've been reading about their brushes, and oh my gosh, they are so inexpensive, you guys. If you want to try sable brushes or squirrel mix brushes, I recommend these brushes. They're very good. A lot of people are jumping on the bandwagon. I'm going to do a video on it, though, and explain what I've learned, because somebody told me that these ones that have the natural handle are a student level, but that is not true. They're this way because of the solvents that can be used that will destroy some lacquers that are on the outside of brushes. Now, they do use a special lacquer that is turpentine resistant and something else resistant too. So they have some that have red handles like this. They have some that have black handles. And then they have the natural ones. But there's different things too about how they're put into the ferrule, and if there's short hairs or long hairs deep down inside, and something else. But anyway, I'm going to go over it all with you, and I'll explain in the video what I've learned. I've got to write a lot of it down because it's easy to forget all that information. And it was all in English, so I will post the website as well, and you can buy these brushes right on eBay. You can get a pack of 5 brushes from size 1 through size 5, I think, for 20 bucks, 22 bucks. And they're sable, Kolinsky sable, not just red sable, but Kolinsky sable. And then they make one that's Siberian sable. I think it's just a white sable. So they're nice brushes. But anyway, I will go over that in a different video, because when I title this video, I can't put all that on there, and then people go searching for stuff and then they can't find it. So I have to do a different video for it. Okay, I got to step back and look at this and see if it still looks super flat. Let me see. Okay, now I see in trying to fix this rock, I've really messed up here. And I've got to fix those trees too. So I'm going to fix those little trees by reconstituting some of this bluish color that I had from earlier. I had a little green into it, and then I'm going to just pop them back in here. So they don't look like they're just floating colors here. This is a good brush for it because it's got such a nice point, and I can flatten the brush out like this to get a tree, which is perfect. Yeah, it's helping a little bit. Yeah, it's a little more dimension too because it's a little different color. I like that better. And there's some down here that I just want to give a point to. But that yellow ochre mixture is still a little damp, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to get that in. Yeah, maybe I can. I don't like those little white spots. Okay, and I think I'm about done here. So that is my gouache painting for today. Thanks for watching, and remember, be courageous, paint with wild abandon, and most of all, be kind to each other. I am not an expert in gouache, and I put it on camera for you all to see, but I'm going to continue to practice with gouache because I really love gouache. And I'm going to do that palette hopefully tomorrow, and I'll show you how all of that works, and it's going to be pretty cool too. So anyway, have a great night, everybody. God bless you all, and thanks again for all the prayers.